Christian Wilkins.
Dan, how are you?
So, delighted to be here.
I am even more delighted to be in your company.
And this is actually the second time we've hung out. And the first time was for a coffee date that was started as like a, let's just check in for like 20 minutes as we make our way from A to B to whatever we were doing. Then like 3 lattes and 3 hours later.
Absolutely buzzing.
Definitely crossed that threshold of like, how long have we known each other for? Oh my God, just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
When I knew that I wanted to talk about the diva altars that we as queer people pray to, you were one of the first people that came to mind because I just knew that you would have someone up your sleeve that I would want to talk about because someone's going to make me talk about Beyonce and I'm going to have to be prepared to do the work.
You're not a Beyonce fan?
I appreciate and respect her the way one does a professional sports person.
That is such a PC
But it doesn't
answer.
actually hit me in the bush the way that some of the other divas do.
Wow.
But I would say the same thing about Ariana. So I'm actually here to learn as much as I'm here to praise.
Okay.
And we can only kneel to so many altars.
Fair. And you're kneeling to a few.
My knees are red raw. Okay. Yeah. So I do theorize that as queer people, we are all assigned a diva at birth, and therefore we do feel inspired by seek out frameworks of how to move through life via one diva above all else. Which altar do you kneel at?
I mean, my queen, Kylie Minogue, obviously. Gay Australia's queen.
And honestly, hasn't she delivered on her
100%.
her reign? Long may she reign. Has she reigned?
Yes.
And there's been so many ways in which she has continued to surprise. It's a very good time to be a Kylie fan.
I know.
Currently.
She's in such a purple patch. I absolutely love it. And like, because I live in America as well, and like all my American friends are like so around her and like, have you heard this song? And I'm like, Better the Devil You Know. Yes, what do you mean? I'm like,
I've just discovered this deep cut.
Yeah.
Better the Devil
Wow.
You Know. What's your earliest memory of connecting with Kylie Minogue?
So Kylie Minogue was actually the first concert I ever went to when I was 6 years old. I think it was the On a Night Like This tour. And that was like my favorite song. That was the first album I remember having as a kid. And I used to refuse to go to bed until I did a lip sync performance of On a Night Like This. I got my like feather boa out. I was in my like red silk chinoiserie pajamas. And I just loved her. I don't know what it was, but something just like completely resonated with her in me. And I think as well the fact that she's Australian, like I loved that angle to her. It felt like it was more attainable as a fan.
Someone took me on a date when I was maybe like 19 when the Fever tour happened.
And wasn't that such a good tour?
I know.
The Kyborg.
And that was the moment.
Yeah.
That was her rising up through the stage
the best.
as the Kylie cyborg and
if
unfolding.
I ever get a fully snatched body, I'm like wearing that to Halloween. Like it's been like in my brain for years.
What a look.
Yeah.
Because so the Come Into My World opener of that, I was there on this date with this guy that I never saw again, but ultimately the gift that he gave me was the gift
Gonorrhea.
of Kylie. Was a trip to the Melbourne sexual health clinic and a love of Kylie, because I walked into that concert with the mindset of like, I guess I'll just see what this is all about. It's a free ticket. Who am I to say no?
Yeah.
To wow, where do I begin?
Yeah.
And that was the Fever era, which was such a great time to get on board because there was just so much to appreciate. But as you're saying, at home as a young person having that experience, I'm flashing back to when I was in the last years of high school. The Intimate and Live tour was on TV as I was like studying for exams or something, and I remember guiltily watching the super camp. That was when she was doing Dancing Queen with the feather boa and the boys with the hot pants and the big plumages.
And like at the closing ceremony.
The 2000 Olympics.
Yeah.
So all of those things are happening around me and I was almost pretending to not like it.
Were you out at that stage?
No, I was a teenager who was like, no, nothing to see here. And the campery of it, I don't even think I was connecting to exactly what I was seeing, but something in me was thinking, I like this.
Yeah.
What was it about the So On a Night Like This era that's the return. So we're talking
that was Light Years.
Light Years.
So that straight after Impossible Princess, which is greatly underappreciated in my opinion.
Grungy, underground.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that the title coming out just after Princess Di passed.
And
I get that.
And I also had read that she had tried to release that album for, a year of sort of not quite getting the support to get it out because it was too indie, too underground, so finally they're about to, and then Princess Diana passed away and she had the album called Impossible Princess, which didn't quite align.
Yes.
So she went down an indie pathway and then she
kind of came back to her roots.
And got super pop. And that was when the Spinning Around relaunched her. Okay. Yeah. So we're talking like a 98, 99.
I know. I think this was like 2000.
2000. Okay.
2001.
Oh, that's right. Because 98 was Impossible Princess. Yeah. So 2000 is
Light Years.
Light Years. Okay.
Yeah. Spinning Around, originally meant for Paula Abdul.
Okay.
She helped write it. And then her album never eventuated. It was given to Kylie. And I mean, the rest is history. Those hot pants, they were found in a thrift store. I just love that that's such a cultural moment for so many people.
There's this, because that was an international hit, and I remember observing, because I was always paying attention even though I wasn't a fan. And I just love that, she made disco cool when I don't think in the late 90s anyone was doing that. There's that sort of Saturday Night Fever, a bunch of people doing
and
a choreographed
move new disco. It's like frothy, OG kind of disco, you know?
And then the thing that's great about Light Years is because she, in terms of just a 2.0 career reinvention, you could almost see all these flavors that then started to blossom in other albums. So, for example, there's that really, is it Butterfly? That big techno soundscapey last track on the album is something that belongs on X, for example. 7 years later. The On a Night Like This, was it the pantomime of the feeling that was coming through in the song?
It was I think disco and house music are my two favorite genres of music, and they both combine perfectly with a bit of Euro pop. And On a Night Like This, there was just something about the beat and what she was speaking to, the fact that I feel as gay people or as queer people, we kind of view the world a bit differently. Everything's kind of got a little more sparkle to it. And I think that song really kind of encases that. I think On a Night Like This, it's saying this particular night, it's a bit special, and it can be any night, it can be every night, but every night just feels a little bit more turned up. And there was something about that I just loved. And then also the music video when she comes out of the pool in the Versace dress and she's all wet, I was I want to do that. What do you mean? We had a pool, I used to always come out of it, wrap a towel around me and come out like Kylie Minogue as a 5-year-old.
And also low rent, as a little gay boy, low rent moments that we create for ourselves, with a hairbrush in the pool, with a mum's wet sarong. There's so many flashback moments I'm getting of myself living a pop diva fantasy moment in a similar way.
Well, people always ask me when did you come out, and I'm so I never actually came out because I was clearly never in. My parents were under no illusions.
Was there ever is there a point at which it became a conversation within the family more openly, or didn't actually need to because it was free-flowing the whole time?
It was always pretty free-flowing. I remember my mum, for the first time, being a guy looked at me and she's do you think he's cute? And then I was not really. But that was the first time that it was kind of openly discussed when I was maybe 16. But I didn't even really clock it until maybe a week or so after that was the first time it was discussed. And I kind of loved that. The fact that it always was so free. There was never this you're straight until proven guilty, you know?
Do you think that culturally, did your mum have because your mum's Greek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mum's Anglo-Indian, and she's so camp and she's such a drag queen that I was really surprised that she had a moment of pause that she needed to get with the program of because ultimately I'm one of 3 gay kids where there's no straight children in the Brophy family.
Yeah.
So me
Your
coming
mum did
out,
something right.
She did something, and also she if you were to imagine the sort
Are
of...
you telling me that your brother's single?
He's a gamer. He, you know, if you like Pokemon and, you know, deep
He can poke my mom.
he's definitely, he's your gay. But I observed that as my mum got used to the idea of having gay kids, she got with the program after a couple of years and it was very easy for her. But there was a moment of her probably not wanting that to be the reality and wanting to change it if she could. And I was really surprised that someone who was as fabulous as her, who was such a campy, Fran Finey kind of drag queen of a glamazon, would actually have taken a moment to get used to it.
Yeah.
Did your mum need to get with the program, or was she just instantly
No,
ready?
she was always pretty easy breezy. I think because it was so obvious. Perhaps she went through that when I was like much younger. I mean, I don't necessarily know if she would have. She was like an air hostess for years, so like all of her friends were gay. I always call her the original fag hag. Like she was always fine with it, and I was always very supported by my parents. But I mean, for you, were you the eldest child?
I was the eldest,
So
and
you
I
were
was
the first one
probably
to come out.
First one to come out, and also I don't know whether it's that it was a combo of like she was probably living in oblivion or in denial, the river in Egypt, and I was probably doing a good job of pretending to not be gay.
Yeah.
And so at the point at which I did come out, I think she had plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if I'd gotten her used to the idea much earlier, I would have been able to not have to worry about coming out.
Yeah. Was there ever any resentment's the wrong word, but sort of feelings towards your younger siblings for having perhaps an easier path?
I mean, because I did find it to be a tough period for me, not in any real way, because I'd had friends and partners who had a really tough time, so I didn't have any actual trauma.
Still, I mean, like pain is relative.
Exactly, and you also just wanted, and also like the tough thing was we were friends. Like I was friends with my parents. I especially my mum and I were such pals that for there to be a rift between us and our friendship, it actually felt much more. I was much more saddened by the fact that, you know, my friend wasn't happy for me. You know, my friend wasn't supportive to me. I think I had the most amount of gymnastics to do to get myself through that. And the way in which I did was saying to myself, oh, well, I guess just as I am asking, I'm like standing in front of them saying, hey, I need you to accept me for who I am on principle. And I guess I have to accept them for who they are on principle, which is just people who are having a hard time with this information. And so I think in the acceptance of them being people who are struggling, that allowed me just to focus on that part of the process for them. Yeah. And it was probably about a year of being polite but not actually being connected over the topic. And then it got easier. But then I think just as the dust settled on me, the second kid in the family came out, and then about a year or two later, the third one did, and then it just became easier and easier, each time. When we sharing culture with my mum was such a huge part of our relationship as we were growing up. Did you and your mum jam on music, on film, on TV when you were growing up?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I loved, because my parents broke up when I was quite young. I was 18 months old. So I just used to copy everything that my mom would do. And I mean, it's still like the reason that I don't like soda, because she didn't like soda. So we used to kind of do everything together. But I think at least when it comes to music, it was probably more my dad, because he's like in that industry. So he was around it a lot more. So I think that's why I was kind of exposed to these queer artists at such a young age. You know, I remember going to Rocky Horror for the first time, a stage show of it, when I was like 5 years old as well, because his girlfriend was in it at the time.
Oh, so good.
And I was like, that woman looks fabulous. And Dad's like, uh-huh.
He sure does.
Yeah.
How lovely, because for lots of gay guys, the relationship with the father is often if ever there's a problem in the familial relationship situation, it's dad.
Yeah.
Like so many of the people I just know anecdotally have had a much more challenging time with dad than mum. And so even instantly just having the shared experience of culture and actually loving pop culture as a as a way to communicate or even have something to share is such a gift.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I think he's more camp than I am. Like his bedroom, he's got like Camilla, like like covers on his bed, and the mirrors are like covered in like sparkly crystals, and like the lamps are mirrored, and I'm like, what is happening here?
He's such a rock star.
It's
like he reminds me of like a glam rock star.
He would love to hear that.
Like,
we need to get that soundbite.
There is a presence to your dad on the Australian media landscape that no one else has, and it reminds me of people who are famous in America from, you know, who have had glamorous media careers, who are just okay to like lean into their fabulousness as a straight guy.
Yeah.
But there's just not many straight guys in the landscape in the States or in Australia who are really, you know, glam.
It's kind of like been beaten out a bit culturally. And I do think those people that particularly came to fame in the 80s, like that's when my dad was the host of MTV. But like looking at people like even like Rod Stewart, and you know, like it was an era where men could be very outwardly camp and fabulous, and it was embraced.
All the sex symbols of those days were all the hair metal rock guys.
Yeah.
Like even like, you know, Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard and Poison and all like the guys who were on every girl's wall, even like Anthony Kiedis from the Chili Peppers. It's like so camp. Like there's just such a colourful, bright, peacocking bravado to what was considered cool. So I think your dad, as being just a journalist in that space, was almost allowed to be colourful. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that as well, the interesting thing with fame is, I can't remember who said it, but I think it's so true, is you pretty much stay the same age you are when you first become famous. And I think that you
look
see
at Britney.
Totally. And I think that happens for a lot of people, where like if they did become famous in like the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, they kind of stay in that era. Like Gwen Stefani will always kind of be a bit like grungy in 90s, even if she's like now doing Christian adverts. Like
from a trad wife, but make it all about girl.
But exactly, like she's still got like some sort of grungy like shirt tied around her waist. And I think that that's true for my dad as well, which I love.
And so when you were coming into your appreciation of pop, what age were you actually paying attention? Because I know that for me, born in 82, by the time I'm sort of 14 is like 96. Everything that I think, I mean, look at what I'm wearing, everything that I think is a cool vibe is such a mid-90s flavor. And I've never really, similar to what we've just suggested, gotten over that. Whatever was cool and looking good, and fortunately for me, the 90s fucking rocked, and everything that was, all the decades that came before it were revived in the 90s.
Yeah.
So you can do 90s does 60s, 90s does 70s, 90s does 80s, 90s does 50s. What age were you starting to really pay attention to culture and pop?
Unfortunately for me, I was born in 95, so it kind of meant like the noughties, which
Paris?
It's not sure. Paris is like one of the rare exceptions on like good dressing from the noughties, because everyone else looked whack.
Y2K flavor is so popular now, though. So
I think that it's how it's done now with like a 2020s gaze is quite fun.
Okay.
But like the OG versions of like the Ugg boots with the low slung jeans with like maybe a couple braids with some like butterflies still from like the 90s.
Anastasia.
Like it was just a bit confused. You know, I think that everyone kind of thought that the world was like going to end in 2000, so stopped looking forward, and then we're just kind of grasping at some random stuff, and we're like, this kind of works. And it's fun to look back at photos, but still there was some interesting outfits, like Ashley Tisdale.
I know.
And Raven on That's So Raven. I remember watching that show and being like, girl, she's dressed so well. I was like, every single outfit is a look. There was like one like denim suit that had flames up the side, and I was like, oh my, what I would do for that outfit. And now I look back, actually I'd probably wear it now. But still.
For an award show or somewhere you really need to crank it up.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Kylie appreciation, Kylie, what do you think is I suggested before we chatted, although I don't know what your responses are, what to talk about, to identify some faves. Mm-hmm. So in terms of albums, is there a Kylie album that you think epitomizes the experience for you? And they can change, because we often go through phases with albums.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite song, as previously mentioned, is On a Night Like This, so Light Years. But I actually think my favorite Kylie album is Aphrodite.
I really rate Aphrodite too.
I love Aphrodite.
Me
and it's
too.
the same EP as Confessions, Madonna's Confessions.
Stuart
which
Price.
is which is my favourite Madonna album.
Clearly.
And there's just, I don't know, there's something about it that's just like so joyous. Like I feel like if you put All the Lovers on in any environment, everyone will dance. And it's just, I love seeing a song have that infectious energy. My 4 best friends and I, every year on midnight for New Year's Eve, we play All the Lovers, no matter who we're around. And it's so much fun to see just like people that are like, why are you requesting this random song to like play on midnight? And then as soon as it plays, everyone's like, this is the best song. And I'm like, I just love that it just makes everyone feel embraced and accepted, but also just want to dance and have a good time.
I was at a wedding recently, and it's not the same album, but the first song after the bride and groom did their dance to a gorgeous Sade moment.
Oh, what's Sade song?
Kiss of Life.
Oh,
So it was Kiss of Life, hard right into Can't Get You Out of My Head.
Yes.
And just to watch the 20-something surf rats all the way through to like Nans rush the dance floor to lose it, to go off. I was like, this is... I never would have thought that I would have seen such a huge variety of age groups still getting down to that track 20 years later.
Yeah.
I'm rapt to see its popularity.
Yeah. Also, I love that you mentioned those 2 people because I'm completely delulu and I've already planned my wedding to a T and I want both Sade and Kylie Minogue to perform.
Oh, not only to be played, but
to perform.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What is the shot? Not that, we don't want to get too sidetracked, but what is the shot? Oh, by your side. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Cherish the Day would have to be...
Cherish is beautiful.
Our special song.
Oh, cute. It's also By Your Side is also my favorite. It's in my favorite Sex and the City episode.
Which I don't remember on Sex and the City.
It's called The Good Fight. I know too much about it, but it's when Samantha accepts that maybe she loves Richard and they dance on the pool. And then Carrie and Aiden, who I don't actually like, but whatever, they have a fight, but then they come together and it's beautiful. And she wears this, like, I think it's Roberto Cavalli top and she throws out a plant. Anyway,
well, come on back for the Sex and the City pod chat, because I'm very deep divey on Sex and the City too. So we've got Aphrodite, which I thought, the deep cuts on Aphrodite, even in terms of like Better Than Today and the Aphrodite live tour. I think that's incredible.
My favorite tour.
Yes,
my friends and I, when we're all together, because some of them live in Melbourne, we come home and we'll either watch Aphrodite tour or the Fever tour, and we know like every song. It's so good.
If
Get Out of My Way, like that is the perfect pop song.
Yeah, truly. Get Out of My Way. Get Out of My Way is incredible, and I love that it even gets a spin as part of a reggae. Like some artists have, for example, Madonna with Candy Shop. There are just some tracks that always get a play in a set list, and for some miraculous reason, Get Out of My Way, which wasn't a huge hit, is still getting lots of attention in tours today. And Aphrodite proper, the actual song, is such a banger. I cannot believe that wasn't a single. It's incredible. So we've got Light Years, Aphrodite. Is there a third album that you rate highly?
Fever.
Okay.
Do
you know what song I would be very surprised if it doesn't make my Spotify top 5 is Tightrope off as the Japanese only release of that album, but I think Australia's got it in Spotify.
Yeah, they do.
So Tightrope is basically the last track or one of the last tracks on Fever.
Yeah.
The reason why it wasn't included on the album proper is because apparently it sounds too much like On a Night Like This.
Right.
It is so
I was actually
good.
listening to it this morning.
I rate Fever so highly. Like I can't Please Stay,
so
Love
beautiful.
Affair, all those these rando deep cuts on Fever are as good to me as Come Into My World, Love at First Sight, Can't Get You Out of My Head, more. Like there are so many good songs on Fever.
Yeah, that's one that you can definitely, and again, I appreciate that I'm biased, but there are some albums that you're like, okay, I'll listen because it's on. But I feel like Fever you can like proudly play from start to finish, and you're like, yes, all of these are absolute bangers.
So in terms of the tours, we've talked about the Fever tour, Kyborg.
Love.
Are there any other tours that stand out for you as a fan?
I mean, Aphrodite, that was the first tour that I went to as like unaccompanied. And I was like in the wet zone. And I was like, this is everything. But then also, I feel like Homecoming tour. After like,
did you see it?
I
live?
saw it. Yeah.
Did you see it when she had like post-cancer?
Post-cancer. So that's Homecoming. The first one was Showgirl.
Oh yes.
Yes, and then they like kind of changed the name, like rejigged the set list a bit. The breaks were longer to kind of give her more time, and then that's when she came out. She opened with Better the Devil You Know It, both of them, but the original one was blue, and then Homecoming was pink because of breast cancer.
Oh, wow. There's some deep diving knowledge here. I love this. This is very niche, because I was very close to the front row when I saw, must have been Homecoming, because it was the post-cancer edition, and that rendition of White Diamond, which is in the context of the survival story, just feels so beautiful. And they even made they even did a bit of a behind the scenes documentary about her return to form that they filmed, and that's the name of the doco. So Fever tour, on a night like this tour, and then Homecoming, beautiful.
Yeah. What about you?
I saw X. I miraculously managed to see X live 3 times.
That stage was amazing.
So I watched it. I've gone to show a few friends, boyfriend included, the X tour retrospectively, and I think I was just swept up in the magic of the live experience to think that it was the best concert ever.
Yeah.
Because even though it was a very good experience live because of the lit up LED stage, I think retrospectively, compared to Aphrodite, compared to Fever, compared to so many other tours, I don't think it rates as highly. It doesn't. The only thing that I will say from the X tour, which can't be beat as far as just making my dopamine level spike, is her singing Like a Drug, coming out dressed as like a red general on a giant skull, like that. And actually,
some of the costumes
were actually, were some of the best. There is something. I think I'm the only person in the fandom that thinks this, but there's something about Two Hearts, which really, like, I think Two Hearts to be in my top 5.
Yes, I actually
something
get that.
Particularly, like, I think it's because I'm a rock chick at heart, and I do love things that have a very big band sound to them. When you mix like electric guitars and real percussion, and there's something like her just singing a swaggering big, brawly kind of song like Two Hearts is heaven to me. But tour-wise, the Fever tour, having had my mind blown apart by my cherry popped officially, and actually I think the Aphrodite tour, as far as just going, this thing, she's existed in an incubator for 25 years by that stage, and this was her taking the show to other parts of the world that didn't normally get to see her in such a big way. And so I just love how it's like this big touring water extravaganza,
and also the
special.
Encore of On a Night Like This into All the Lovers, and like how they blended, and it's like this big like housey disco. It was just absolute perfection.
Totally. There's actually one of the, because I mean, we're showing anyone who's even a little bit older than me will have a much better lived experience of pre-Fever Kylie, of which there are so many important eras that I've only discovered retrospectively. So for me, only in the last maybe year or two have I gone deep into, I wanted to be as familiar with the first 15 years, 20 years as the last 15 years. So is that even right? Has she been doing it for 30 years? Yeah, she has been. Yeah. It's like 88 to maybe more. So we're probably into like 35 years of for a 55-year-old person.
I remember she released Time Bomb. When did she do that? That was to celebrate 25 years in the industry.
Okay, and that was like 2007 or something, right? So I've recently really put in delighted in getting to know the earlier stuff. And as far as an album that I think really holds up against anything post-Fever is her self-titled album from 1994, which has most famously "Confide in Me." But my most listened to song on Spotify, my number one in my Spotify recap last year, was this song called "Where Has the Love Gone," which is house perfection. It is so incredible.
Even know if I've listened to that.
You know that song?
No,
you haven't heard it.
So.
Oh my god! Okay, so it's a remake of another artist's track, but she's just, of course, knocks it out of the park, and goes for like 10 minutes.
Love.
It's got a black male vocalist singing with her. It's house music. It's designed for a dance floor, and it's a remix. It's in remix form, but it's on the album. Yeah. And I think it's produced by Brothers in Rhythm, or the same team that she still works with to this day. And there's this, it's a random deep cut that is absolute perfection, and I can't believe she's made it. And then there's also there's another equal favorite from the old school catalog on the same album, Rhythm of Love, that has Better the Devil You Know. There's a song called Things Can Only Get Better.
Yes.
And that's similarly, dance floor ready, but sounds, like a remix.
Yeah.
But it's a deep cut.
Yeah.
And so props have to be given. and so in terms of what was it like for you to get on board this most recent, are you as much of an enthusiast of anything on the Tension or Tension 2
Definitely.
albums?
Yes, I actually went and saw her in Vegas last year.
Really?
It was probably tied first best concert I've ever. It was my birthday. My two best friends from Melbourne were there. My dad came too. It might have also been the most drunk I'd ever been. We met her afterwards. Well, I'd met her before, but we saw her afterwards, and I was like, "You are amazing." And yeah, I mean, it's just seeing the effect that it had. I thought that was like so much fun to be a part of, and I actually think that Tension, I prefer it to Padam Padam. Hold On to Now, Things We Do for Love, I think is also just a perfect pop song. And then from the new one, Somebody for Me and Good Is Gone, I think are both incredible. And then we were talking about the one she did with Orville Peck, which name is now escaped. Midnight
Ride.
Thank you. I was going to say Cowboy.
Midnight Ride is so heaven. Also, that was with maybe my second most listened to song last year. And I was saying to you before, to me, it just feels like this sweeping Olivia Newton-John, Islands in the Stream ballad that's having fun with the double entendre of, talking about queer sex culture in the lyrics of,
What do you mean? It's about her going on a horse ride at midnight, isn't it?
I feel like you can enjoy it whichever way one would like to. But I think that the Orville Peck bringing a queer loaded double entendre to the lyrics, and then her allowing you to hear the sweetness of it, because she's so sweet in her delivery and her intention.
Talking part of them.
Yeah, there's the talking component before they get carried away with the chorus is just so heaven. Like, it's magical. I love it so much, and I actually really even enjoy the BB Rexa. My Oh My, Tovalo, BB Rexa, My Oh My. Yeah, I think that what they did as far as following up Tension with songs that belong in the same world, but giving you more to enjoy if you just didn't get enough the first time.
Yeah, and it also kind of felt like it was the evolution of a night. Like Tension, I'm at a gay bar, I'm having fun with my friends, and then Tension 2, it's kind of like, and now we're at a warehouse party, and it's like a bit heavier, and it's like it feels like the night has gone on this like trajectory. Like, it feels very copacetic.
And then heaven, I love that. What a gorgeous term. By the time you're getting to Midnight Ride, which is that like the afters? That's the afters. The drinks back at the house, like when everyone's a bit boozy, and
it's not midnight. It might be 5 a.m., but you're going for a ride anyway.
And because I feel like the Padam revival of Kylie was so beautiful to watch in real time, because because pop music used to be so ubiquitous that people of different age groups could all have something in common when they if they wanted to talk about pop culture, you could always do it on about music or cinema. But because everyone's a bit more siloed in their consumption these days, we don't have many things that happen in the pop cultural landscape that everyone, regardless of age, can talk about. So when you got to see Padam getting really big, and people in, whatever the equivalent of Spotlight in the middle of the UK Midlands who were doing
Yeah.
meme fabric
Totally.
rolls,
Yeah.
and that becoming a TikTok sensation. And it was as exciting to a teenager dancing to
Yeah.
it at a house party or on a club dance floor. Like, that is exactly what pop music is for.
Totally.
So it was so nice to see the culture uniting in the States, in the UK, in Australia, and in other parts of the world, non-English speaking, around this 55-year-old woman. Like, it's unheard of.
Yeah. And
So
I think
special.
it also goes to show the power of like having a full concept of an album and a song release. Like there was a full visual with it. You knew exactly what you were getting. Like when she went to the carpets, it was always a red kind of look. It felt very on brand and tied together and thought through. It wasn't kind of like, oh, we're throwing shit at the wall, which sometimes feels like, no shade, but like what people do now these days with pop music, especially with TikTok, where songs are so short, they kind of just throw something out there. If it doesn't kind of immediately generate like listens, then they sort of abandon and go to the next one. And I really liked the fact that she committed to something, and I think that even she was surprised at how successful it was. I mean, it was huge.
She's always just been doing, because going back and listening to all the different albums, and we haven't even touched on some very big swings that she's made that maybe weren't as popular. You know, Golden's a big swing, Disco's a big swing. These are all really.
I loved disco.
I mean, Disco got me through lockdown, but
Yes.
retrospectively, to me it feels just like a nice kind of B-sidey.
I get that, but like Magic, I love it. Say Something, like they're all on my like recently played constantly.
Because there, for those that don't know, there is actually an extended mix album of Disco, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It actually sounds exactly the way it should sound, and the same as Tension. Unfortunately, because Tension came out and that was a hit, and then they released a secondary version of Tension called Extension.
Yeah.
I think that's Extension. That was the longer version of all the songs on Tension, which would have actually been a better name for the sequel than Tension 2.
Yeah.
But just as you can go and listen to, you know, the 5-minute version of Padam on Extension, just as you can listen to the 5-minute version of that Heaven Supernova of Disco.
Love
like,
Supernova.
I'm so glad that Drag Race did
Dance
a
for
Supernova.
Darling.
Dance for Darling is so gorgeous. This, I'm glad that because Rue loves Kylie clearly, and Drag Race did a Supernova finale on one of the apps that allowed me to get reminded of how great it was.
Supernova.
Yeah, it's super cute. Well, in terms of visuals, what are your favorite Kylie music videos?
Okay, so I think my all-time favorite is actually I Did It Again.
You did it again.
I did it again. I did it again.
Is it where there's like multiple Kylies?
I did it again.
It's
Yes. Where there's Sex Kylie, there's Dance Kylie.
Indie
I always
Kylie.
wanted to be Sex Kylie, but I'm definitely Dance Kylie. And I just think it's so fun. I have like an art pop like poster of Sex Kylie on my wall. I love that one. Which one did you resonate with?
In terms of who I thought I was at that time, Indie Kylie. Totally. Which is actually, you know, pedal pushers.
Oh, totally.
Cute.
She looks adorable.
Yeah. The idea of that the visual aesthetic of that world in a Spice Girls era really makes sense.
Totally.
While acknowledging that you've been all these
things yourself,
which is for 1997 was pretty postmodern.
Yeah, totally.
Because Madonna certainly wasn't looking back at that stage in her career. So the idea of, you know, I'm been around long enough now that I have been all these personas, and here's 4 of me at the same time, felt kind of progressive and pretty far out. What are there any other music videos that have really resonated?
I mean, I don't even particularly love this song, but the music video to Slow.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was in Barcelona.
And
she's in the Balenciaga dress.
Mm.
I just think that that's like absolute perfection.
There's an engagement with her own idea, her own awareness of how she's perceived to me, where she was so... Gold Hot Pants was so specific, and then into this Fever era, which was, you know, very highly sexualized, all in white. And then there's this following album, Body Language, which we haven't even touched on, which is also a huge favorite of mine.
Yeah.
That
Chocolate.
was... Yeah, Chocolate. The remixes of Chocolate, which I've given you on that playlist.
Yes, I think would you consider Chocolate a deep cut?
I think as far as singles go, kind of, because not many people would know about it. But the idea of her being so covered in the blue while everyone else around her is wearing, because if you're doing a thing, if you're making a music video with a choreographed dance routine at a swimming pool in Barcelona, it would make sense to be wearing very little.
Very little, yeah.
But she's specifically choosing to cover up
Yeah.
in this ensemble. It's a beautiful, tasteful choice,
so good.
acknowledging what we expect of her and where we've seen her, and this idea of now I'm a more mature version of sexy, and this is it.
Yeah.
And because actually the body language era is a really, I think, a perfect example of her specifically choosing to not just do the same thing again based on how successful the previous album Fever was, and maybe playing more with a hip-hop flavor or maybe an R&B flavor more than a hip-hop flavor. In terms of other visual aesthetics, is there a third?
Yes. How do I choose? I mean, is it lame to... I mean, if I'm being honest, it's On a Night Like This. I just love the music video. It's based off Scorsese's Casino. She's Sharon Stone in it. She's got the Versace dress that she changes into something, and then I think she ends in Roland Mouret. There's like $2 million worth of jewelry in it. That man's in it whose name I can't pronounce. The actor.
Rutger Hauer.
Thank you. Glad that
from
one
Blade
of us
Runner?
did our... Yes. One of us did our homework.
When I think about that Fever era, which is the album following On a Night Like This, the one that I think hit me the most on a feeling level was the Michel Gondry directed Come Into My World.
Yeah.
Where it's multiple, it's like giving you the Kylie verse.
I saw someone the other day, they like tweeted saying that like, assuming that the amount of Kylies that were produced in that time frame continued producing, there would now be like 6 billion Kylies in the world if like it kept going. And I was like, I'm really glad I know this information.
There's something so beautiful about the celebrating of the quotidien that I love about that video, where we're all just making our way from A to B, walking through our little village. Kylie manages to straddle two dimensions. On the one hand, she's this pop goddess that is covered in feathers and lowered from the ceiling, being outrageous. And on the other hand, she's very touchable. She's really relatable.
She's in this little pink polo thing with a couple stripes.
She's so real. And I think when you can connect with an audience in that way, and I know that as a the little gay guy just trying to get from A to B to be motivated to do what I need to do, and having this beautiful I don't know, there's something that what do you think the essence of Kylie is? Because I feel like if I was to try and capturing Kylie in a bottle, the way that if I needed to invoke a certain part of myself when spritzing her, it would be, there's a feeling of longing and like the feeling that you get when you first fall in love is, I feel, the essence of Kylie. And so when she sings, Come Into My World, or even in a more kind of electrified way, The One, which is another Kylie track that I love, that sort of love me, love me, love me, come into my world, this feeling of I just can't wait to be in love is the essence of Kylie for me.
Yeah.
What is,
No, I don't honestly. That was the perfect answer.
What does she do for you? What part of you does she access?
For me, this might sound so simple, but for me, it's just like pure joy. Like if I'm ever in a mood, if I'm ever feeling lonely, like I live in Los Angeles, if it's the morning in Los Angeles and I can't talk to my friends here, then I'll put on a Kylie song and I'll walk, and like within 3 minutes, my mood has completely shifted. It gives me connection. It makes me remember times when I've been at Palms dancing with my friends. It just makes me happy. Like that's what it offers me, and I kind of love that I know that it's such an attainable thing, and it's something that I like do very often, which, yeah.
That's such a beautiful place for us to end. But for anyone that happens to be hearing this who is not a fan yet and needs to be convinced, and you could only play them one track, what would the one song be that's like, because we know what resonates for you in terms of, it's On a Night Like This, it's what that means to you, but there's also the track that's like, okay, if you're going to listen to one Kylie song, what's it got to be?
I think objectively, it needs to be all the lovers.
Great.
I mean, that's what our fans are called. It's about coming together. It's about like creating a human pyramid in downtown LA. Yeah.
Do you think this is a deep state conspiracy theory of mine about all the lovers, that I feel that it is about penis size? That she is saying, of all the lovers that have gone before, that no one compares to you. Don't be frightened, just give me a little bit more.
Okay.
When you get too close, it burns, it hurts. You know, there's that feeling of like, you know.
And it does.
I just
you know what? I actually think that there is a case for this.
I just want to plant the seed that the next time we listen to All the Lovers, put it through the context of her saying, almost like that, like a virgin Madonna theory around, you know, I've never quite had one like that before. I feel like a virgin all over again.
Yeah.
This feeling of this sentiment of all the lovers I've had before, nothing compares to you.
That's a better place to leave it off.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, next up, Sex and the City deep dive.
Yeah, done.
Yay! So good.